there are risks, and this risk needs to be framed and needs to be addressed. And once it's addressed, then you can move forward.
Good afternoon and welcome. Delighted to be joined in the studio by Biba. Homsy, Biba, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Now, Biba, I'm actually going to start with an apology because we're talking about crypto, and look at us, we're dressed like bankers and lawyers. We should be cool and funky, shouldn't we?
Yeah, we should, probably.
How long have you been a lawyer for?
Oh, a lawyer since 2010, so quite a long time ago, but I've been doing a lot of things.
And you're also the president of Let's Blog. How long have you been the president for?
I've been the co-founder of Let's Blog, so I've been in Let's Blog since the beginning, actually. President probably around 1 year and a half, something like that.
Congratulations. I mean, crypto, of course, it's in the news a lot for all sorts of reasons, but particularly from a regulation point of view, MiCA. Now, what was MiCA really designed to do?
Design and results are two things completely different. I would say design is to ensure that you have some kind of safeguards when it comes to crypto assets. No, not financial instruments, but all the other cryptos, that you have some safeguards on the activities. And when people are providing some activities as professional, like exchange, like investments, like asset management related to crypto, there are safeguards.
I mean, there were some accusations that people were, like criminals, were using crypto. Was that real? Hard to prove, isn't it?
No. So you do have some tools and you have reports. And most of the reports that you have actually are done with tools that analyzing the transactions and the flows. And you see that many transactions, I think it was called by one of these providers on chain analysis, that only 1 to 3% of the whole transactions on crypto are related to money laundering and terrorism.
That's very small.
That's very small.
I mean,
it's still here, but
that's the same as normal cash, though.
Thank you so much. Yes, indeed, there are also the same risks.
Right. And do you think, is MiCA going to solve this problem?
I mean, MiCA will provide for sure. Nothing is perfect, okay. But MiCA will provide some governance. At the moment, most of the cryptos are either not regulated because not considered as crypto, or even related to AML-CFT, so anti-money laundering and counterfeiting terrorism. So they are outside the scope. Or some of them are in scope, but only for AML. So all the things about conflict of interest, risk management, governance, and all this kind of thing that you would expect with someone who touched upon this financial services, you would have to expect them to have this setup. So MiCA is touching upon that and requiring this behavior to be correctly framed.
Right, and so when MiCA is implemented, are we going to see a radical change? Like, for example, if I try and sign up with an intermediary or an exchange, am I going to receive a lot more warnings, etc.?
I think from a customer protection, probably yes. From an AML perspective, like going onboarded, KYC, documentation, it's already the case for most of these providers because they are under the AML requirements. But suddenly what happens with FTX was not about AML. It was about actually segregation, about risk management, about all these kind of things that you would expect for someone that actually take your deposits. If AML is just one aspect, market abuse is not AML. Conflict of interest is not AML. So MiCA is setting up this framework of providing much more comfort to investors.
Now, the ironic thing about creating a framework is that for crypto aficionados from 10 years ago, they all thought that crypto was going to replace the current financial structure, but that doesn't seem to be the case anymore.
That's a question. Are you a Bitcoin maximalist? And you will actually, or probably, not use decentralized crypto assets. You would find always a solution by going full decentralized or own your own assets through a ledger. but not going through a bank or an exchange. But not everybody wants to actually be its own bank. So typically, if you want to have some legitimacy, being into mass market, having a potential and sufficient market to provide services, then you need to find a way in a more traditional market where actually you have a proper governance, an internal system control that provides support and protection for the investors.
Now, I know that you've got a lot of experience in the Swiss regime as well. How is Switzerland getting on with crypto?
I have to say, and given the fact you heard about what happened with Coinbase recently? Binance for sure, but have you heard about
Sure,
Coinbase?
well, Binance got in trouble. They're being investigated by the SEC.
Yeah. Coinbase have been actually sued by the SEC for unregistered broker-dealer because SEC actually flipped its position, in my own opinion, and consider that all these tokens that are listed in a non-regulated market are for them securities. So suddenly all the different cryptos that are listed in exchanges are considered for the SEC because it gives also a jurisdiction to the SEC to act upon it, that they are all securities.
I love this way that the US justice system seems to poke its nose into lots of things around the globe because Coinbase is based in Dublin.
Yeah, so Coinbase is also a listed company, and so they are tied with the US. But what is important is that it gives uncertainty to investors. So even people who want to invest in this kind of crypto assets are a little bit unsecured. And what I found interesting in the Swiss market, which is smaller for sure, but the qualification of tokens of crypto hasn't changed since 2018. So you have payment token, utility token, assets token. Even because it's what is called substance over form, if you have something that qualifies as a financial instrument, securities and so on, okay, you are handled like this. But FINMA made it clear that BTC, ETH, all these kind of cryptos are payment token.
I mean, all this volatility in the market, it's enough to give you a heart attack because when there's bad news, when on the day about Binance, yeah, we saw a fall of 5% in the Bitcoin valuation, but then the very next day it came back 6% as I guess investors were placing their money elsewhere.
Yeah, it shows also somehow the trust in the community is resilient because it goes like this. You could have, can you imagine in the market, in the financial markets that for the securities, left aside crypto, if you had one regulator that takes all the 10 most listed companies and their securities and began by saying, the test that we set up in 1946, the OWI test is not applicable anymore. You are not considered like this, you are considered as that. How the market would react and how for long, but for the Bitcoin, it went down and up afterwards because there is a community that truly believe in the technology and on the value of these assets.
Now, I know we're almost running out of time, but I thought with MiCA, we're going to get this European level playing field, aren't we? Which has got to be good news. A little bit like GDPR, we've got this one set of regulations for Europe. Are you optimistic that Europe could become a proper centre for crypto?
I do think so. I think that it gives at least some kind of security in the way that cryptos are considered. It doesn't provide the solution for everything. The technology is moving, the services are moving as well, but at least there is a try of having a regulation. And like MiFID, you had MiFID 2. Like other regulation, you had also adaptation, and they are already speaking about a MiCA 2. But at least you have some security to do your business. That's an advantage.
And finally, as president of Let's Block, if you could give a message to the Luxembourg ecosystem, what is your message for crypto?
I think that we need once and for all a position from the different authorities and public authorities that cryptos are actually not as bad as you think, because the problem is accepting VASP, given registration to VASP, authorization under other license, and suddenly saying that that's not ideal, it doesn't give any comfort. Either you are not in favor, but then you don't go into providing registration, or you consider that there are risks and this risk needs to be framed and needs to be addressed, and once it's addressed, then you can move forward, but you need to choose and not cold and hot.
Biba, thank you. Thank you very much. That was Biba Homsy from Homsy Legal. Thank you.
Thank you very much.